We've all been there. You wake up one morning to find the world ravaged by a sinister plague, with axe-wielding lunatics and manically screaming women trying to kill you at every turn. Meanwhile, you don your plague doctor mask and try to deal with the large pulsating spores, tentacled beasts, and other terrifying monsters as best you can. Or maybe that's just me. For those who don't have the opportunity to experience this IRL, there's Thymesia, the brand new game from OverBorder Studios and Team 17. In it you play as Corvus, a plague doctor tasked with finding out what's happened to a kingdom ravaged by plague and disease, and rediscover his own memories along the way. Wielding his dual blades as well as a number of mystical powers summoned from the plague itself, Corvus must battle through the heart of this once prosperous kingdom, fighting gigantic foes and exploring every nook and cranny to piece together the story of his past. Thymesia is a Souls-like action RPG, meaning it's tough, really tough. Enemies pack a deadly punch, and it only takes a few hits before you're killed, where you'll lose all your currently gained XP and only have one opportunity to retrieve it. There's sparse checkpoints from which you can level up and reset your limited supply of heals, but also respawn all enemies at the same time. There's a series of different skill trees and perks to collect, from improving the quality and amount of healing potions you have, to adding and enhancing new weapon abilities, and adding to and increasing your basic abilities. Whilst there's no other weapons besides your blades to add to your arsenal, these skills do offer a variety of build options to fit your gameplay style. Combat requires skill, patience, and practice, and it is necessary to learn the movements of each particular enemy to understand where its weak points are, and when not to attack. It employs something akin to the posture system from Sekiro, where enemies have both stamina and health meters, and bringing down the former allows you to perform an execution and deplete the latter. Continuing the Souls-like comparisons, levels are three-dimensional mazes that loop back on themselves, with shortcut doors that do not open from this side if you approach them the wrong way. The areas are dark, dank, gritty affairs, with narrow cobbled streets paired with ornate facades and alien-like fauna. Enemies are a mixture of shambling humans mixed with horrifying monsters, each one creepier and more deadly than the last. It's all very reminiscent of From Software's Bloodborne, Victorian Gothic horror paired with Lovecraftian nightmare imagery. But whilst it certainly sets the right tone and invites you into its intricate world, its mechanics often let it down. Combat is frequently either overly simplistic or unnecessarily obtuse. One aspect in particular involves a kind of parry system where you throw feathers when a green line appears to repel an incoming attack and make the enemy vulnerable. Except the timing of this is inconsistent, with enemies being able to break through your feather throws with ease. It comes across as arbitrary when the throw does and does not work, and even when you do land one, it doesn't offer an opportunity for a counterattack, just a momentary reprieve from an onslaught. The benefits of trying to use the feather throw are far outweighed by the damage you take from failing, and with the parry window being so tight, it's barely worth using at all. On the other hand though, it can feel like one strategy works on almost all enemies. Pressing right bumper twice, followed by right trigger, then right bumper again, seems to dispatch pretty much all weaker enemies with ease. Sure, that means easy kills and XP farming, but you then feel underprepared when you face the game's first major boss and can't get a handle on what mechanics you're supposed to deploy to succeed. There's also different plague weapons you can apply to do a large portion of damage, but these are often slow and can be broken by an enemy attack, meaning they are almost useless against fast bosses. It feels like there are some balancing issues in Thymesia, and a lack of clarity over what it wants to be gameplay-wise. At times, it wants to emulate Dark Souls' slower, methodical approach, whilst at others it seems hellbent on making you react at lightning-quick speed with ultra-aggression. There's a few other small issues that affect the overall experience with Thymesia. There's glitches that see enemies ragdolling through fences and floors. There aren't a lot of rewards for exploration apart from a few lore notes scattered here and there. And there's no voice acting, which is pretty much a necessity in games like these. Especially when the boss is supposed to be talking to you, but you can't read it as you're trying not to get killed. It just comes across as a bit weird and almost unfinished. And it's such a shame, because Thymesia has so much going for it. The visuals and art design are fantastic. With the dark backstreets juxtaposed, with the creepy flora and shambling monsters. The music is excellent, setting the oppressive atmosphere and almost carnival-like quality of the world. The setting and lore are fascinating and keep you invested throughout as you search out the answers to what's going on and where your adventure will take you next. Its RPG systems also allow for a number of different playstyles, and the ability to respec at any time is a nice touch. That might very well be enough for you to stick with it, and if you can look past some of the problems with its combat, Thymesia is an excellent game. Just be prepared for a lot of frustration in the process. The Doctor will see you on the 16th of August on PC, PS5 and Xbox Series X.